Hi, Daniel here from leptachurch. Welcome to this week's message. We're going to be talking again about the tongue, the words that we use. Last time we talked about just how damaging your words can be, the great and terrible power of the tongue. This week, we're talking about what to do about it, and it's not what you think. A lot of us might think that we're just going to try harder, and a lot of us live with a lot of guilt because we're like, I mess up so much, and there are so many words that I speak that I regret, and they can beat themselves up about it because they think it's their job to be perfect in word, or it's their job to be the one to tame the tongue, to control it. And that's not the case. This message is called How Desperately We Need God's Help. We're in James chapter 3, verses 6 to 8. How desperately we need God's help. We understand that God is the one who saves us. Most of us get that idea, that we cannot save ourselves. But did you know you cannot save yourself from having a bad tongue, for having bad words? This isn't about behavior modification. These verses aren't warning us about how dangerous the tongue is for us to be better children and to obey better and speak better and have better words. No, that's not the purpose of this. The purpose of these verses, the purpose of talking about how dangerous the tongue is to get us on our knees begging God to help us, how desperately we need God's help. And I want to show you that from God's word. And I'm excited about the victories ahead for you if you apply these truths, and the victories ahead of me if I apply these truths as well. And it's something that I've been working on, and it's powerful. So I'm excited to share it with you, but I want to pray first, and then we're going to jump in. Lord, I thank you for how amazing you are. I thank you that you show us truth and reality. And while we might think that the words that we speak are a small matter, Lord, they're a big deal like we talked about last week, but also if we're not experiencing victory, it could be so easy to be hit by this guilt, and we don't want to experience that, Lord. We want to be walking in the life and peace and joy and truth of your Spirit. So we ask for your help as we look at these verses, that we would see what you want to share with us right now. In Jesus' amazing name, amen. All right. Let's go ahead and look at these verses, okay? James chapter 3, verses 6 to 8. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. The tongue is so set among our members that it defiles the whole body, and sets on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire by hell. Verse 7. For every kind of beast and bird, of reptile and creature of the sea, is tamed and has been tamed by mankind. Verse 8, but no man can tame the tongue. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. Okay, so verse 6 is similar to the preceding verses. It's talking about just how damaging and powerful the tongue is. It compares it to a fire, a world of iniquity, that the tongue is so set among our members that it can actually defile the whole body. It sets on fire the course of nature, which a lot of Bible versions say your whole life, okay? It can set on fire your life. It is set on fire by hell, it says in verse 6, okay? It's set on fire by hell. I mean, these are drastic, dramatic things. And it's not hard for us to think of examples of times that people have said words that have felt incredibly destructive. So we can understand that, okay? We've experienced that. Sometimes we don't admit that we're the ones that do that. And these verses are forcing us to understand that this applies to everybody. But we can grapple with this idea of just how powerful words can be. And when we look at that power, the response can be, well, what do we do? And verses 7 and 8 kind of answer that question. And it talks about how we've been able to tame beasts, birds, reptiles, and sea creatures. All of these creatures we've been able to tame. They have been tamed by mankind, but verse 8, no man can tame the tongue. No man can tame the tongue. That includes you. That means we can control lions, tigers, bears, but the tongue, no. You can't do it. And if you feel like sometimes you've said things that just make you want to beat yourself up, you're so regretful of words that you've spoken, you're not alone. This is something that everyone deals with because no person can tame the tongue. No one. And we remember in verse 2 of chapter 3, we're reminded of this truth that if anyone doesn't stumble in word, that person is perfect. And we know we're not perfect, right? And so I get it. I get it. Like it's tough. There are times where we face situations and we say stuff that we can regret and we can think, oh, if I just have practical tools. There are even people who have preached these verses that will give you really easy little, oh, this maybe can help. Maybe this can help. Maybe you've Googled what to do. I really want to have words that build up and bring life, and I don't know. I feel like I can't do it. You have so much guilt that can build up and it can weigh heavy on you. What do you do? And these verses actually give us the key. They tell us we can't do it. You can't do it on your own. You cannot do this on your own. You cannot fix the problem of your words by yourself. Verse 8, no man can tame the tongue. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. Obviously, the deadly poison part is not literal. One of my kids pointed that out. I was like, yeah, we're not snakes, okay? But we have so much destructive power, and we mess up. We all mess up with this, and it can be frustrating. But the answer isn't in Google. It's not with motivational speakers and trying to excite yourself and try to visualize another way of doing it or whatever. The key is that you can't do it, which some people might say, oh, does that mean we give up? No, it's not that we give up. This is where the freedom is. We call out to God. How desperately we need God's help. We look to God, as I said in the intro, for salvation. We know that we can't save ourselves, but you cannot save yourself from having a harmful and damaging mouth. You cannot control your tongue. You cannot. Verse 8 tells you that, so you look to God. Remember Luke chapter 1, verse 37. That says, for nothing is impossible with God. Nothing is impossible with God. Where something's impossible for us, with God's help, it's not impossible. And that's the key. The key isn't just finding another trick that maybe can help you when you're angry or when you're about to lose it, when you're about to say something that you just know that you're going to regret, okay? The key is to humble yourself and say, God, I need your help. When's the last time, be honest, okay? Be honest with me right now. When's the last time that you did that you were in a challenging situation, you actually asked God for help? You see, if we don't ask God for help and we don't humble ourselves and say, God, I can't do this, I cannot do this, if you don't do that, that means you've got a lot of pride going on. It's almost a way of saying, God, even though your word says that I can't tame my tongue, I can tame it. I've got this under control. We can even look at it almost like the Pharisee in Luke chapter 18 who's praying and says, oh God, thank you so much that I'm not like this man over here that's struggling and doing this sin and doing this. And oh Lord, I thank you that I do this and I do this and I do this. And the other man was so humbled and was just like, God, I need you. And Jesus said that God received that man's prayer, not the Pharisee's prayer. There's a scary verse that's in 1 Peter 5:5. You may be familiar with it. God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. You know, there's grace available to you. This gift of favor and blessing in those times of need. You need to call out to God. Maybe your solution is not just finding another trick or hoping that things will go differently the next time you're really tempted to just let somebody have it. You can get help anytime you want. How desperately we need God's help. And how often do we ask for it? God stands ready. It's important to him. He talked about it in chapter 1, verse 19, and after talking about faith and works in chapter 2, this whole section is focusing on our words. And hopefully you got a sense last message about just how weighty it is that we have this powerful tool of words. And it's okay. It's normal. It's human to mess up. It really is. And these are not verses to beat yourself up with or to, say, oh man, I'm so awful, or go down that whole rabbit hole. You don't have to live under condemnation. You could receive help from the Lord and walk in the truth of His Spirit. There can be victory. I mentioned victory in the beginning. There can be so much victory. There could be so much victory. And when you ask for God's help, it's interesting. He's going to change a lot. He's going to change a lot. We can be really rough with people with our speech. And sometimes we can say things that He's not leading us to say. And He could spare us a lot of pain if we would just ask for His help. No man can tame the tongue. You are no different. And there are so many people we've ministered to as a church who have been damaged and hurt by the words of others. Some people even were thinking they were doing a nice thing or had a warped view of a concept that can be true called tough love, where you can do tough things that can show people the truth that's there that they need to encounter, but they can do it without the Spirit's help. They don't ask God for help. They are acting like they've tamed the tongue, and they go out, they say these things, and it can actually come across more like hate than love sometimes, because even though their motives might feel right, they're not asking God for help. You don't have to do that. You can ask God for help. When you need to speak, you can ask Him. That's what these verses are about. They're telling you, you can't do it. There's potential for lots of damage, verse 6. But verses 7 and 8 tell you, you can't do it. Humble yourself. You can't do it. No man can tame the tongue. But that's good news, because, you see, God wants to do that. God wants to do that. We're going to pray. And I'm so hopeful and excited for you. I'm hopeful and excited for the people that are around you, that this can be a new chapter. How desperately you need God's help, but God's there. And He wants to give you the words to say. Oh my goodness. And then we can walk according to His way of doing things. We can speak the words He wants to speak. And even when there are times where we need to speak some tough things to people, share some tough love, it really will be love instead of being damaging and even hateful. We can rest on God. Let's do that together. How desperately we need God's help. Lord, I thank You for Your word and for speaking these things. You are such a good God. We need help in this area. We all do, every single one of us. Verse 8, no man can tame the tongue, but oh, we know that there's nothing impossible for You. Thank You, as always, for teaching us from Your word, for being faithful to speak and to lead us. We want to listen. I just pray for everyone watching this right now, that in those moments of need where they need You so desperately, and we all do, to help us from speaking things that could be damaging and hurtful, we pray, Lord, that we would listen and we would be ready to receive. In Jesus' name, amen. What a joy that you joined us for this message. If you've got a question, a comment, or anything, you can comment below, or you can email us at contact@leptachurch.com. Thanks again. God bless you and your family, and we hope to see you next video.